Hi there and welcome back. In this video we're going to be looking at Google AdWords keyword match types. As you can see on the screen there are 5 listed here. They are broad match, modified broad match, sometimes known as broad match modifier, phrase match, exact match and negative match. So what is a match type? Well, basically a match type is something that you apply to a keyword in your AdWords campaign which is going to tell Google how you want to target. And depending on the match types that you choose, it's going to determine whether your ads show for more or less specific searches on Google. The first match type we're going to look at is broad match. This is the default match type in AdWords. So any keywords that you enter into your campaign, if you don't select another match type, this is the match type that Google is going to use by default. When using broad match, as the name suggests, your ads are going to show for a very broad range of searches. This means that your ads will be triggered anytime someone searches the exact keyword, misspellings, synonyms, related searches, and all sorts of variations that Google deem relevant to the keyword. Here are a few examples of a few of the search terms that would trigger your ad if you were using the keyword women's hats. As you can see on the right hand side, quite a few different terms would trigger your ad. For example, the exact same, women's hats, buy ladies' hats, women's caps, hats for girls, women's hats, buy red hats for women. As you can see, these are quite a broad ranging group of keywords here. And for example, words like girl instead of woman or cap instead of hats can all possibly come through by using this match type. The next match type we're going to look at is modified broad match. Again, this is a type of broad match. However, it gives you much more control over the search terms that your ads are going to appear for. This match type is triggered by adding a plus symbol in front of keywords. When you add the plus symbol in front of the word, you are telling Google that this word must be in the search term for it to trigger your ad. So the plus keywords can appear anywhere in the search term in any order for your ad to be shown. So whilst it will still target a very broad range of things in the same way that broad match does, a modified broad match means you have a lot more control over specific keywords that must be in the search term for your ad to show. Here are a few examples of the sort of search terms that would trigger your ad if you were using a modified broad match. As you can see, we've gone with the women's hat example again. And if you look over to the right hand side, we see women's hats, buy women's hats on sale, hats for women, hat shop for women, buy red women's hats. As you can see, all these search terms have women's and hats in them, or similar keywords like hat instead of hats, or women instead of women's. By using the modified broad match and having a plus in front of hats, for example, we're not going to see caps show up here. Hats has to be in the keyword, so it won't be replaced like it would with a broad match for things like caps or helmets or other things that are similar to hats. In the same way, women's could not be replaced with girls. The next match type we're going to take a look at is phrase match. This match type is triggered by adding inverted commas around the keyword. So, for example, as you can see on the screen here, I've just wrote, "This is my keyword," with inverted commas around it. So when we use this match type and surround the phrase with inverted commas, we're telling Google that this phrase must be in the search term in this exact order for it to trigger your ads. With that said, you can still have additional words in the search phrase, but they can only come before or after this search term. Here are a few examples of some search terms that would trigger your ads if you were using phrase match. So the keyword again is women's hats. As you can see, it trigger women's hats, buy women's hats on sale, buy red women's hats. Now what you'll notice here is women's hats is in each search term in that exact order. However, there can be keywords in front of it like buy, or after it like on sale, or before it again like buy red. The next match type we're going to look at is exact match, and this is triggered by putting brackets around the keyword. So again, I've shown an example here. This is my keyword, and you can see it has brackets around it. When we use this match type, we're telling Google that we want to be very specific, and it means your ads will only show if someone searches this exact search term and extremely close variants. So here are the examples of search terms that would trigger your ad if you were using exact match. Again, we're using women's hats, and you'll see on the right hand side women's hats and women's hats. So as you can see, this is extremely specific. You're not going to show up for any broad searches. You're not going to have any words before or after your search term. It is literally just that term that you're telling Google you want to show for. This is obviously really good if you want to target extremely specifically. At the same time, it does have its downsides, and by being so specific, you do miss out on a lot of traffic that you could potentially receive with the other match types. The final match type we're going to look at is a negative match. This is a way to identify keywords you do not want to show for. To add a negative keyword, you need to go to the Keywords tab in the AdWords interface, scroll to the bottom, and there you can add negative keywords to a whole campaign or at an ad group level. Additionally, you can apply any match type to negative keywords to make it block as specifically or broadly as you want. We are going to be actually doing some more keyword research to find negative keywords, and when we do that, we'll be adding them to the account. So I'll be able to show you in more detail in a later video exactly where you add these negative keywords and how we use them to block certain search terms. I hope you've got a better understanding now of how to use match types, and if you have any questions, of course, please do ask, and I'll do my best to answer them, and I'll see you in the next video.